Okay. All right, it is 7 o'clock and I'm calling this meeting of the Community Housing Board to order. So our first order of business is to review the minutes.
Yes, which I did.
All right. So just everybody take a little look-see. Thank you, Catherine, for getting these out so far ahead of time. I looked at them and forgot, and I'm now looking at them again. Let's see. Anybody have any notes?
No.
Feelings?
I have no notes.
No notes? Does anybody feel like?
I move to approve them.
I second that. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
So approved. Great. Okay. So our ADU +1 update. We have 11 applications in. Have a couple more in the hopper. We've had to, just so this committee knows that we've had, we've had obviously some folks who have applied that, well, not obviously, but we've had some folks who applied who are confused about the nearshore overlay.
Okay.
And having looked at their lots, I understand their confusion. So I do think that that's something that we need to talk about at some point, but that is what it is.
Okay.
And then we did have some questions around lot size. So that was kind of a thing. And there's just like a little bit of confusion about it. And so I was really grateful to have Peter on the call with CDCLI to kind of work through, because Peter knew all the lots. So he was like, wait a minute, if that's so-and-so,
Peter,
blah,
smart.
then
That's
we can
my
do.
job.
Yeah, he's like, then it's fine if they're doing a basement conversion, but they can't do a blah-de-blah. So then it was really funny, the guy from CDCLI called, or they called in their building director and they're like, hold on, let's get him in here. And then so that Peter went through all the lots that they had questions on. And then Peter just looked them all up.
Yeah.
Wow, Peter.
Yeah, Peter's doing the Lord's work by just knowing every lot on this island.
Yes.
So really fast track that. So it's going good. So let's say those were all to kind of come in.
Okay.
We probably have 11 or 12 through this like initial process of like zoning. I think we got another 12. I think we have 11 for sure. And I think that there's one that's going to kind of go through. The meeting that we had with CDCLI, hey Tom, it was 2 weeks ago. So I think we're due for another meeting, I think next week. So I'll have another update for you. So we're getting pretty close to the limit. We've got a couple of folks that I think are getting pretty close to getting their plans in and stuff like that, who are to that stage. So
Everybody has met the income restrictions, that vetting went through already?
Yeah, so all those for those 11, 12 that we're talking about, those have already gone through the financial vetting.
Great.
And then they were on the kind of the zoning lot size, will it work with what they're thinking? And so now they're to those 11 are kind of at least moving to the next phase of like, well, exactly what do you want to do in the basement? Or like, where in the yard is it going to be? Like, does that work with, so that's kind of where the phases are at. And I think there might be, so I think there's actually even a couple of people that are a little further along. I'll give you an update when they tell us what's happening.
Yeah, it'll be exciting to see kind of like when that first shovel hits the ground.
Oh, I know. I'm so pumped. I know. But I think
when that first basement starts getting sheetrocked or whatever.
Well, I think we're getting close. So we should be getting some. Anyway, like I've said, cool. I'm hoping that we'll start seeing some plans before the building department.
Great.
So
very exciting.
That's super cool.
And then did the extra funds is just kind of like an ongoing process from the state?
Yeah, so we kind of really, I'm going to talk to Gwen a little bit about it next week, and I'm probably gonna have an additional call with her about some other stuff, and I'll do an update. But I think we want to wait till we really know that we've taken, that we know we're gonna,
She's our CCLI lady.
Use up.
yeah, CDCLIs, yeah, that's her. So we really want to make sure that we really have all those 16 spoken for.
Okay.
So, I mean, there is always a chance that some of these could shake out, like they're only zone, because of where they are, they really want to do basement. They want to do a standalone, but they can really do a basement conversion. They're like, no, forget it,
Right.
We're still in great shape because obviously we're 10 months in and we still have, like 14 months and we've
Yeah.
got 4 more to find. So feeling good,
Yeah.
feeling good. But we kind of want to wait until we really are a little bit further. I thought we might potentially be going back to New York now, but I think we're going to wait till we really have like 16
Okay.
strong ones is kind of my understanding from the last call.
Got it. Great.
Okay,
Okay.
next.
What's the RFP status thing? What does that mean?
Well, we sent a draft, we went over the draft last time, or,
Yeah, we went
bare
over,
bones.
yeah, we
Yeah.
went over the draft last time
Right.
and,
I think we sent it on to building planning.
okay, so we did.
Who did we
I
send?
have feelings about it, so I'm trying to say this is.
Diplomatically as possible.
Yeah, also in my defense, I would like to say on the record that I do have a tax deadline on Monday, so I'm like really trying to just do my best to stay balanced.
Okay.
So here we are. So the next day after this, we reviewed this, I sent it on to engineering and legal for review
Right.
Yes.
and put the town board on it. And because we wanted to get feedback on the engineering parts that we talked through.
Right.
And we knew that there was like legal stuff that we needed feedback on. We got a bunch of really great feedback from Joe Fenora and Matt Sherman. Additionally, they've moved forward and not so much with the RFP, but like a pre-existing to the like all the building and
Surveys
stuff.
and
Yeah.
stuff, yeah.
So that they need to do, oh my gosh, I wish he was here. If I mess this up, forgive me. They need to do a test well on 69 North Ferry because they've done the initial stuff. So they got to do, they got to do like water quality and make
Sure.
sure it's all good. And
Okay.
that's like the next part because it looks good and Suffolk Health says, okay, I think it's good, but now we got to like check.
Okay.
So they've got the quotes in hand and that is that's like in process.
Okay.
So as of last week, they had that kind of going and we were talking about how do we do the procurement process for paying for that test well. So we have money in our budget already set aside because we knew we were going to do it.
Great. That sounds positive.
So engineering
Over there.
moving forward, like they're doing their stuff.
Legal.
Legal's been a little bit more challenging.
Okay.
Legal's been a little bit more challenging. So it has, I've been, you know how I follow up.
Yes.
I'm good. I'm a good one for a follow up.
Yes,
I don't
you
let
are.
things. So I've been following up a lot, and so I finally got a
This is our
meeting.
town attorney.
We finally got a meeting on the books last week because I wanted to get an update to at least identify bigger legal issues that this board should consider. Right.
Sure.
Unfortunately, that meeting got canceled. And so I did go talk to the town board and we talked about it a little bit and I registered my feelings on the matter,
Concerns.
feelings and concerns, just because I sent that RFP the day after this meeting,
Yeah.
hoping to at least get some initial feedback.
Yeah.
So we do not have that at this time.
Oh, okay. That's a bummer.
But I also, there was some initial there was some initial questions that were brought up around something, just some basically some technical matters where there's like a law on the books where it's like, did we have to break this into different RFPs because of this like contracting law, right?
Huh.
So I was like, okay, cool. Which really brought up the point that for me, that a lot of this stuff, and Bill, as you've said before, is like really, it's like really technical, like it's
Yeah.
really specific and technical.
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't answers at the ready. I did go to Southampton and East Hampton to get answers for the board and council around how they handle it.
You're so good.
So we did have that. And then ultimately, an option that I wanted to bring to this board, I did actually go to the town board to the budget work session because I wanted to have this available to us, was my husband is on a board and they have their own outside counsel, which is specialized
That
on the
sounds-
planning board. And he
yeah.
said to me on one morning when we were walking our dog, maybe you
guys need that.
a little bit of outside counsel for a specialized housing attorney. And I said, well, that's not that's not a terrible idea. And so I looked into what it would look like to do that. We do have some additional money already budgeted.
Okay.
So it's possible for us to do that. And I did go to the town just to kind of put out there that we might need to, because I'd given like an initial budget
Yeah.
for next year. And I said, hey, we might end up, if we really get going with this RFP, we might need a little bit more, like, can I amend my budget? I know it's like,
Yeah.
so I did that last week. Obviously we will try to use our town council for as much of it as we can, but I did want to bring to this board that I think that it's something that we might consider. So I did reach out and I have a couple names recommended by CDCLI. I got a recommendation from East Hampton, from Southampton.
Fantastic.
So
support
from,
this.
East Hampton Housing Authority, and then I also connected with the chair of the East Hampton Community Housing Board, and he
Great.
got me a couple other recommendations for folks that specialize in housing.
I'm very supportive of this idea, not just because it could be more efficient,
Yeah.
but because we're going to have more of these
Yeah, I mean, and we
in the
just,
future. And I would like to be able to have them looked over with somebody who has the really specific information and knowledge of what we're trying to do.
I think
It
there's
is
like,
technical.
yeah, there's like both the technical knowledge and then also just like that, that we just know has the bandwidth. Just because, we
Exactly.
are a volunteer committee, so like,
Right.
if we have to kick it to the next, so that's definitely something for us to consider.
What do our other people think?
So, Bill, I'm wondering what your,
Yeah.
I was like, I know Bill has a feeling.
Yes, I do have a feel, excuse my voice
Of course.
at this point, but two things.
Mhm.
First, in terms of money,
Mhm.
we'd have money from the referendum.
Okay, so we do, yeah, but we also have, well, hold on. So there's a couple pieces. So we actually have town money that's already allotted to us because we usually, for just like consulting, right? Like
Right.
we usually end up using something. So I went to the town and I said, could we use it if we don't end up using it for wells or whatever? Could I use it for legal? Could I switch it on the
Yeah.
budget? Not even touching the referendum money. He said, yeah, that's not a problem. And I said, great, fantastic,
Oh,
and I
that's
kind of
great.
like learned how it worked. And then what I also asked, I said, well, gosh, if we really get this RFP going, we might need more than it's in this budget.
Yeah.
But also if we got it going, that would mean we were getting this project going. So I reread the legislation and we could use some of the 0.5% money if we found ourselves in need of like upping a retainer, because we're really moving forward with like an RFP, we could potentially use some of that. So, I mean, my expectation would be,
We
I
should
mean, I
be
can't-
able to, I mean, my gut feeling tells me we should be able to cover this between the town and the referendum money.
we can absolutely, the money's not going to be a question. We can absolutely, I mean, it would be like, even if we had to use 5,000 or something like that from the, it would be like a de minimis amount that we would go, I would prefer to not touch the fund because I want that to just, you know, go for as much housing as we can, but you know, we got to do it the right way also. So it's like, if we need to get a lawyer involved, then that's, I think I think it's worth thinking about.
This shouldn't be a fortune.
No, it's
for this
no,
piece.
like, yeah, no, it shouldn't be a fortune. I can't imagine, just even looking at the scope of just the overview of what we need for the RFP. I think, here's the thing is I think for somebody who does this all the time, would be able to probably turn it out pretty quickly and answer it, you know?
Well, that's my second question, which goes to who you would be looking to in this regard. And
yeah.
let me finish the question first, because there's two components as I see it. People that have some housing expertise, but also, as importantly for what we're doing at this stage, people who have procurement expertise. And could be people that could have been associated previously for, you know, with the state, for instance, or with some other governmental entity that were involved in the legal aspect of procurement. Because there's two expertises you're trying to really kind of mesh into this at this stage.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly what's on my mind. And so I asked some of our allies out there for referrals based on both of those criteria. So we're lucky enough to have 4 or 5 that we can talk to. And Bill, I was actually kind of hoping, if you're feeling better, if you might be able to help kind of like vet some of these names that we've got.
Sure.
Great. Okay, cool. Maybe we can
trust
connect.
me. I am 1,000% better tonight than I was this morning, and by tomorrow morning, it will have passed. I had a reaction to the second vaccination and the 4th vaccination, and now to the 6th vaccination. So on the even ones, I have a reaction.
Well, I'm glad that you're able to join us by Zoom, and I hope you're feeling better soon.
Thanks.
Well, I definitely support this idea. Peter, do you want to weigh in?
Do you have thoughts and
No, I
feelings?
think
Peter?
it's great. I think a second set of eyes is very important, especially with an attorney that's familiar with these projects and that have done it before.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay. Agree. So I think what we'll do is maybe Bill and I will
Go over these names.
we'll go over these names and maybe we'll have some initial conversations and see if we have somebody good. But
Okay.
I think it could be really worthwhile just to be able to, you know, just like have somebody work with us on this, just
Yeah,
because
and
it's.
once we get some of the stuff back from engineering, some of the stuff back from legal, we can keep revising.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just thought like, just even to get a more solid draft to just like bring to the town board or just be like, think about, you know, like I feel like we got it pretty far, but like, I'm sure that there's stuff that we don't know because we're not lawyers.
We gotta get to the,
We got to move the ball a little bit.
Yeah.
We got to move the ball forward. We have to move the ball. Okay.
Hey, Liz,
Yeah.
do you have, at this point, besides names, any CV or firm bios on any of these people?
I do, and I'm happy to share that with you offline, and just also I can also share the recommendations and the comments from the people that recommended them.
Yeah, just email them to me. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that's kind of where that got stalled, but then I was like, well, maybe this is actually a blessing because we probably
Yes.
need to have a lawyer on retainer
That's
that we
what
can
I
just
think.
call about this stuff. So maybe it's actually part of our,
State.
yeah, maybe it's kismet.
Yeah, exactly. Let's look at it that way.
Okay, next is the funding update. So what are all those letters? So, I'm gonna mess it up. SCEDP is basically, that's basically the county. And so this is remember I think I talked to you guys about like the county money, where we talked about that there was monies available the 200,000, but the limit of 10, like this whole thing that we had kind of talked about.
Yeah, I remember now.
So it's so wild how much pushback we've gotten about 10 units. I don't know why everybody's so mad about it. And I was like, well, we're thinking about the 10 because we could get 200,000 a piece, and then that makes the math look real good.
Yeah.
You know, you could build better units, you could just do a better job. And anyway, whatever. It's baffling to me, but there it is. So I kept getting pushback. Well, what if you did 2 or what? I was like, well, the math doesn't work at 2. And so anyway, at some point, David Doyle, when you watch this, we'll have to show why the math doesn't work at 2. So we'll redo the model, I guess. But cool. So I called her up and I said, okay, what happens if you don't have 10? Because the way you explained it to me is just like, it's a no-go.
Yeah.
Like, is that true? Right?
Yeah.
'Cause I was like, well, I don't want to say things that aren't true. So she said, well, you guys are so small, we would consider it. But she's like, I got to tell you, not likely, just because the paperwork is so intense that it's really just not worth it for me to pay somebody to do it for less than that. And really, are you really serious? You know, like, I'm not like, are you serious? But you know what I mean? Are you guys serious about using this money? So she said, it's not totally off the table, but unlikely. So just in the interest of transparency, I thought I would report that back to the team.
Okay.
There was another item that had come up last time, and just kind of talking this into the record, where we're talking about property taxes and like, could the town do something? And I was talking to Stephanie Rosen with the county, who's just been an awesome resource. We've never done this before, so I asked her lots of questions. And she said that actually we could get these covered through Suffolk County IDA, and she made an introduction.
Yeah, what was IDA?
I don't remember off the top
Okay.
of my head, but I'm happy
But
to
it's
send
a-
it to
but
you.
it's a thing?
But that happened like 2 weeks ago, which
Okay,
is
that's way
basically a
too
different
long
life
ago,
thing.
yeah.
It was, yeah, and so they could also provide, property tax waivers, and they could also help the
First one is the Suffolk County Department of Economic Planning and Development.
Thank you.
Sarah Lansdale.
Mhm.
And the second one is the Suffolk County Industrial Development Agency.
Wow.
Crazy.
Oh,
All right.
Thank
The
you.
acronym, I got Google right here.
Okay, thank you
Oh,
so much.
excellent.
The beautiful woman in the front row for the win. So IDA they could provide relief for property taxes, and this is just
Okay.
all through pre-established programs, and then also could potentially help the developer to save on sales tax, which is, but it all adds up.
Good.
So I was like, okay, that's great. So those are 2 things that we might want to write into the RFP, was her
Great.
suggestion.
Yes.
incentives.
Yeah.
Incentives, yes.
Incentives.
Yeah, makes the math better. So,
So those are both related to the RFP.
yeah, so those are just like another, because David talked last time, but the challenge for me of looking at this is, how do you make the math work, right? Because we have the land, right? We have now we have $128,000 in our fund, but to think about doing this is just a lot more money.
Yeah.
And since the fund doesn't have it, and you could technically bond against it, but you'd have to put it up for a vote. But I was just like, that just seems hard. And so I don't know. So she's just like, oh, is there any other ways? Like, let's look, right? So this, just to ground everybody out back into why we're even here, is one of the suggestions that we had gotten that has been successful in other communities, was that if you basically do an RFP where the town retains ownership of the land,
Right.
and you bring in a developer to develop the units
Right.
per your guidelines.
Yeah, your specs.
But how the developer makes back their money is you let them keep the rents on those
Of
units.
course, right.
And obviously there's a term on it. We've talked about maybe having an opportunity, like a first right of refusal, so that maybe when the town gets their act together, we could buy it back and we could eventually manage if that was something that we could pull off, but also just so that we would be the first, they couldn't sell it to somebody
Yes,
else or something like
exactly.
that, because also it's on our land. So obviously there's a lot of legal things in there.
Sure.
But that's how you kind of make the economics of it work. And initially, and this is something I've explained a lot in the last month, is initially, I was just like, well, if we let them use the land, like clearly the math will work because they just have to build it and then they just get the rents and like easy, right?
And what were you told?
So I did some math and David Doyle did even more math than me. And he
Yeah.
does this math actually professionally. And it's hard to make it work. One, because interest rates are high, even if you were able to tap into specialized loan products, interest rates are high. So borrowing money to do it is hard, right? Because then you got to pay it off over, say, 20 or 30 years. I think he has a couple different ones in his model. And we're seeing inflation of material costs. So it's more expensive to build.
Yeah.
And the other thing, and the basic math, if you don't want to look at the beautiful pivot tables that David Doyle has built on this, is basically what you want to kind of think about is interest rates are about 8%.
Yeah.
Okay. So a developer, even if they're a nonprofit developer, even if they are doing this out of the best place of their hearts and they just care so much about it, you got to think that they got to at least make enough out of this that their money would do if they just sat it in a savings account, right? Which right now is 8%. So their return on investment really probably has to be like, I would say probably like 10 or 15, because, stuff always goes wrong. You kind of build in a little cushion for like, to hit a rock or
Contingencies and
the
stuff.
contingencies,
Yeah.
right? The roof, the hurricane comes and you have to replace all the roofs.
Right.
So they at least have to make as much as they would if they just didn't do anything with their money.
Okay.
I mean, maybe they're not getting rich over here, but you can't ask, it's a hard.
It can't be
They can't
nothing.
lose money.
Right.
They couldn't have like lost money doing this crazy thing with all this heartache and they could have
Okay.
just left it in a savings account. Because
Okay.
why would you do that? They would be terrible business people and we shouldn't get involved with them. That's what I think.
Okay.
So we got to make the math work and we can't get to that rate of return without thinking about something more creative. And the thing that was proposed to us, and the county actually came to us and said, hey, we have this money that we've set aside. We really want to kind of move the conversation forward with housing. They literally called us and said, here it is. Would you be interested? And so I was that's the 200,000 a unit.
That's very
So I was
good.
like, well, you know what, $2 million
That's what he sees at.
would be really great. We could put in amazing IA systems. We could do a good job.
Solar.
It could be, you could do lots of stuff with it, right?
Yeah.
It makes the math work better.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So that's a very positive update.
yeah, I mean, it's this
Except for
thing.
the fact that we need to get 10 units
Yeah.
on
Yes.
Yeah, which is hard.
12 South Ferry, 16 Manantic, and 69 North Ferry.
I think the
hard.
only parcel that we're in question is Manwaring, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, again, it wouldn't take this county funding off the table, but it would be much harder to get.
If we're less than 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and here's the thing is how it would work is, just so we're clear on the process, is that the developer would actually get it. And so it would be difficult, I feel like, to attract somebody that was gonna, and again, I'm just speaking from my own vantage point here. I would be concerned that if that money wasn't easily accessible, it would be difficult to attract somebody that would do a good job. Because here's the thing, we want them to build something that looks good.
Yeah.
And that's solid.
Yeah.
And that's safe for these families and these
Yeah.
households.
Yeah.
It's
Right?
gonna last a long time.
And we want it to last a long time and we want it to be environmentally conscious and we want them to manage it well.
We're
Yeah.
asking a lot.
We're asking a lot. So, you know, we gotta like make it
Yeah.
work. So, and I would be worried that somebody who didn't have as good of a chance at this county funding would be trying to do it on the cheap because they couldn't get the county funding.
Right, no, we don't want that.
And I want to be efficient, like, I think it's good to be efficient with our money, like, we
Yeah.
definitely have to be good stewards, but we're not looking for like cheap, you know what I mean? Like,
I know exactly what
you know,
mean.
you know,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We want this to,
No, we were
be safe
trying to
and
build
good.
something solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally get it. Okay,
Liz,
yeah,
on this, from my perspective,
yeah,
I would say that we would have to try as hard as possible to have the 10 for the initial, because it will be harder for subsequent ones to necessarily reach 10. If we're going to be looking for an exemption from the 10, it's probably more likely in the future. For the get-go, I think we don't look good. I think that it just causes us trouble, and this $2 million is essential. We have to get to 10 to get this off the ground.
yes, agree.
yeah, I mean, I think it's just, and just, I agree, and I think that, you know, I did want to just kind of just say something to something that you said is, you know, here's the thing is the way this county money works. You know, it's all bureaucracy, right? It's
Right.
all paperwork and whatever you think about it, that's exactly what you jump through this flaming hoop and you do that.
Okay.
And so the truth of it is we're probably only going to be a bit able to access this if we're doing something that's 10 units. So I don't really, unless this changes, I don't see a version of the world where in 5 years we're able to access some of this money at 2 units. So, you know, this might just be, we might only be able to tap into these resources if we're doing something bigger, you know? So, and hopefully our fund will be in a different place and we'll have other ideas but we, you know, this is only for larger things.
Yeah. I think Bill supports that.
Okay.
Okay.
We got fund balance update. We got $27,000 in September. So it's bringing, we had like,
Had like 100, right?
yeah, we had like 100, we had like 450 in interest. So we are up to 128,
Nice.
100,000.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a great little start.
Yeah. It's a really good start.
Yeah. Okay.
And we have another big one coming in soon.
Oh,
I
all
love,
right.
I love the cryptic real estate updates.
Yeah.
I know.
It's like, I will be excited to get the account statement next month then.
Yeah.
Well, another month, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Should
A
be
little
an
early?
ex- Should be an extra 30 grand.
Okay, a
great.
little early Christmas present for the fun.
Yeah.
We'll take it, we'll
I'll
take it.
No?
I like it.
Which only started in April,
I know.
Yeah,
So that's pretty fantastic.
half a year.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's not, I mean, here's the thing is like, is it enough to do all the dreams that we want to do?
Not yet, but.
But you know
Yeah,
what? But we're gonna get there.
Yeah,
We're gonna
exactly.
get there.
I mean, last year there was no such thing.
A measly 0.5%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Fund balance update.
I did that. Look at
Okay.
us, just cruising through this town.
Town attorney memo.
Okay, so this is, gosh, and Catherine, you might have to help me. I'm gonna try to explain this as best I can. Okay, basically, we do hybrid meetings.
Oh, it's this
We're doing
letter that
now.
we got?
Yeah, we do hybrid meetings, but we can
Right.
go to all Zoom. Is that right? Am I
Yes.
saying that right? If we feel moved by the spirit.
And we
So-
don't need a full in-person quorum,
Quorum,
Yeah.
correct.
which we're 7, so a quorum is 4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we don't actually have a full in-person quorum, which is fine. Tonight.
So I'm wondering, since it's been challenging, and I know you travel during the summer,
Summer was really hard, yeah, sorry about that.
do we want to try to, do we want to give ourselves that out of just being able to be like,
Anywhere?
I mean, I would say, I think it is useful to meet in person, but I also, with how small we are, it's definitely a bummer when I'm like worried if we're gonna make quorum.
I mean, we have the option, so I think if
Okay.
people can't make it, but if they want
Okay.
to make it on Zoom, then that's great.
Okay,
I do
Okay.
too.
I mean, I'm around all year, so I'll be here as much as I can.
I will too until June, July, and August.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know what my life's gonna be like a few months from now. I can't plan.
no, I mean. Okay, cool. Is there anything more formal that we need to do?
So you guys want to keep it the hybrid, like how it is now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
do we need to do
Wait, do we need,
something?
so if we're hybrid, then does that mean that we need an in-person quorum?
No.
Great, then I think that we would love to keep it like that. Fantastic. I didn't really understand that memo. Okay. Do we have any old business?
I think we covered the old business. The old business was the RFP and,
Yeah,
ongoing things.
cool. New business, we have meeting dates, and then I have one other update. So let's just take a little look-see. Oh,
Are they always on Thursdays?
always the second Thursday.
Okay, I don't seem to have a problem with that.
Liz, I just have one thing, getting back, I was just thinking of this to the tax, real estate taxes on these homes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Let me look into it, but I think that that wouldn't be. Let me look into it.
okay.
I
Well, we're
just
not,
have to get my facts and my ducks in a row and my thoughts to see how this would work. But I think there'd be, they wouldn't be taxable.
right, I mean, that would be great. I'm just trying to like look under every stone, you know what I mean, to like make this work, so. Okay, so this
Peter.
is our,
Yes.
One follow-up on that. I would
Yeah.
agree that, I mean, with the fee interest with the town and with the lease interest for whatever period of time with a not-for-profit, it shouldn't be taxable, but we have to be sure that that the lease interest is with with a not-for-profit or with an authority that is the equivalent of a not-for-profit.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into that. I'll find out.
yeah.
Okay.
So if everybody could take a look at these meeting dates. I have one, always me with my needs. Could we move the March 14th one? Literally, I have a corporate tax deadline the next day and
Okay.
I am, if you guys would be,
The 7th?
yeah, I could do the 7th. Would that work, Catherine?
The 7th will be WQI in here.
Okay, JK, never mind. How about,
First,
21st.
following Thursday.
would that mess you guys up?
As long as it's hybrid, I'm fine.
Okay, okay. I would deeply appreciate that. I mean, I'll still be in tax season, but like the night before the corporate deadline, it's just like, I have nothing. I have nothing for anyone.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Catherine, I have a question for you.
Okay.
When you send out the notices, like the email and everything, I don't know how to do it. Maybe you do. Through Outlook, put it so it automatically dumps it in my calendar.
I will look into that for you,
Yeah, it should be able to do that.
but that's, yeah.
I love that. That way I don't have to keep on going back and
Do the emails.
Find it.
it automatically will put it in and I click accept. And then it
Yes.
puts it in my calendar.
Absolutely, I can do that for you.
How do you do it? I have no idea. So
It's wizardry. It's
I know
wizardry,
people do it to
Peter.
me all the time and I think it's great.
Accept.
Yep.
And then I just had one other new business thing because it just came up that I just wanted to, so I think in one of my conversations to try to find lawyer referrals, I spoke to Andrew, who
Reed?
is,
My Andrew?
no, he's the chair of the East Hampton Housing Board.
Thirty?
No, the East Hampton Community Housing Board.
Okay.
Maybe it's him?
No,
Is he-
it's not.
Okay, I was like, I don't think that's your Andrew, but super nice guy, gave us 2 great lawyer referrals, really
Great.
helpful. But one of the things we were talking about, and I know that isn't on our agenda just now, but I know that it's come up, and I was like looking at on the housing part of the comp plan,
Right.
was low interest loans,
Right.
which obviously we don't have 120, which is like cool. It's cool. It's cool. But with like, median home prices at 1.4 million,
Right.
we'd be helping somebody every 2 to 3 years. So I was
Yeah.
like, but
Yes, it's
But-
a good thing to start thinking about.
it's a good thing to start thinking about. And then I was thinking, because I was like, I had my accountant brain on, and I was like, how do you administer these? How do you check up on stuff and like do the financial vetting and da 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 da? You know what I mean? I was like, literally, how does that work? Like
Yeah.
the town absolutely cannot do that.
Yeah.
So I was like, Andrew, what do
How
you
do you
guys
do?
do? And he was like, I don't know. And then so we were talking about it. And so I had some initial conversations with CDCLI, and I was going to talk to Long Island Housing Partnership
Okay.
to talk about how they, so CDCLI, because I talk to Glenn all the time, they do administer those things. And I'm going to get more information. Southampton actually gave them some money to administer for this exact purpose.
Okay.
So I think the process would probably look like, just in case anybody was curious, that we would get together like a big pot of money
Yeah, just throw
and we
it
would
down.
say, CDCLI, this is what we're looking to do. And they would basically like make sure that the people could like make the monthly payments and like,
Right.
do all the like send the mortgage interest forms and
Yeah.
do all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So anyway, I was like looking at, I was gonna get some more information about that. But then I had like a super, like, not to be an agent of chaos, but here you go. I was like, what if, because I was thinking about the ADU things,
Yeah.
like the ADU and like how cool those grants are. And, we really wish that we could like just restrict, like it's New York money and we're super grateful for it. And we're just gonna get into it and we're glad it's helping income folks. But I was like, I wonder if you could do like a loan or something like that to help people build an ADU and keep it affordable. I don't know. I was just thinking, all of a sudden I was thinking like loans, and I was like, well, if you're already getting someone to administer a loan, I wonder what else, what you could do at a smaller scale so that you could do more than like help someone buy a house every couple of years.
Yeah.
So anyway, just,
That's
I'm
not
gonna-
an agent of chaos. That's just you having an idea.
well, I've got a lot of other things on it,
I
but
know, but I'm just saying, I wouldn't, I'm putting a positive spin on that
okay,
list.
thank you.
I think it has potential.
So I'm gonna find out more information about like their rates and how they administer loans, and
Okay.
I'll probably bring that back to us in the next couple of meetings, but
Great.
I just was like, I know it's been with like the election, lots of people have been talking about it,
Yeah,
and
as
I was
long
like,
as-
how would that actually work?
As long as it's like allowed in our fund
It is,
Yeah.
yeah, and so, but I'm sure that there's like,
tasks or whatever.
yeah, like there's like guidelines and stuff of like, how do you administer it so that it makes sense and it's like cost effective, but also meets the
Yeah.
guidelines of the legislation.
Yeah.
So, yeah, anyway, I'll let you guys know.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
It's not even 8 o'clock. Wow, it's only 7:45.
Shortest
there some-
meeting ever.
Shortest meeting ever.
Yeah, no, super proud of us, guys. Does anybody have any questions? Julie? Julia?
Tom?
Tom?
Just a little bit of question to help my confusion.
Okay, cool.
You might have to come up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you
We want to
Sorry.
come and be famous, Tom. Come to the video.
I'm just asking if you have like a printout of plan, what you're planning on doing. I came in a little bit late, I missed
Oh, yeah. Are you asking about the RFP?
that and just the overall plan, what you're
You mean when we're talking about the
So
10
I'm hearing,
units and the spaces
I'm
and all
hearing
that?
somewhat of loans and bringing in different contractors, and are we holding ownership of the houses? Are we not owning the
Yeah,
houses?
yeah.
Is there, all I'm asking, not, you don't have to explain it, but is there somewhere a printout of your plan?
Yeah,
Not
No,
yet.
that's literally what we're
You're
working
still
on.
hashing that.
Yeah.
That's the whole
That's-
point. So we had kind of come
I'm
up with.
okay to be confused.
yeah.
Yes.
We're working on it too. So at our last
It's in
meeting,
process.
we put together like a request for proposal, which is like the plan that we're hoping someone will come and like, maybe it'll be like a shingle house, or maybe there'll be cottages, or it'll be a farmhouse. We don't know. We're open to it, right? So basically what we worked out as a committee was like, hey, these are the things that are really important. Like it has to be like that, we went through this RFP that we got from, anyway, the guidelines for what we're looking for. And then if you want to get bored to tears, but it is in there, you can hear us reading through the whole thing and projecting it up as we were working through it. So the things that are not in that initial draft RFP that we're working on and is the engineering review and the legal review. So that's what we're talking about now, was we were kind of put together the bare bones. And just so you know what we're talking about, or anybody else that might be confused, what we're considering is to do rental units where the town would retain ownership of the land.
And the building?
Well, now here's the tricky part. This is why we need the lawyer, because we're not lawyers, to help us figure out how it works. Because basically what we would want to do, because we don't have the cash, is to have the developer build the units, right?
So that's where I came in.
Yeah, cool. So build the units and then be able to take rent from those units to be able to pay themselves back for having to do it.
They would serve as management, basically.
They would
be
also,
the management.
they would be like developer man, or maybe they would come in as a team, like one guy would build
We don't have the
it.
infrastructure in the town to manage that.
Do you know what happens 20, 30 years from now? Do we lose ownership of that?
No, so
No,
this,
that's-
that's why we're so freaked out and trying to get a housing lawyer.
Buy it back.
Yeah, so one of the talks that we'd had with,
Buy back the improvements.
buy back the improvements, so the actual structures. And one of some of the advice that we'd gotten for for towns that were just starting out like ours, was basically to put something in the contract where we have the first right of refusal, right? So that we're, in either, I'm just gonna make some stuff up, but like in 10 years or 15 years or 20 years, we have the option to buy it, and conversely, that they can't sell it without first offering it to the town, right? Because we don't have the cash right now, but obviously we have a vested interest in any homes that are like built
That are
on.
built here.
And so how do you legally structure that in the contract? We know it's
Liz?
possible, but we want to,
Liz?
that's why we want the lawyer.
So it's a start.
Yeah.
Liz,
Yeah, Bill?
one thing to make it just a little bit simple with that, I mean, it's gonna get, a little bit more confusing, but in terms of this, the land is called the fee interest. The town will retain the fee interest. They will lease out, they will lease back, the builder won't own the building, at least from my perspective, it doesn't sound like they should. They will build it and it will be leased back to them for whatever period of time. In a lot of these situations, it's a 99-year lease, but then there's other things that take place that could call it, sooner. So the town wouldn't lose its overall ownership. It retains the fee interest on the land, and it would have some type of lease back because it's not a
Yeah.
regular, right.
Yeah, I think we're saying the same, and it's like, really, what is the best way for this to be structured so that the town basically, obviously, we would be choosing who would be doing this, but also so that we would maintain future control or future say into something. And what that structure and how that contract should look like. We need a really good housing lawyer to advise us on it,
Right.
who's done this a bunch of times. So,
Does that help, Tom?
Yeah, it's a start.
Yeah.
I'm new into it. This is a lot of
it's a lot.
digesting too much.
All right. Well, you're always welcome to ask us more questions if they come up. Oh my gosh, you guys. Does anybody feel like making a motion?
I make a motion that we finish our meeting, that we close our meeting down and finish.
Second that.
All in favor?
Bye.
Aye,
Bye. Have a great night, you guys.
thank you.